So, how does Elon Musk manage his time? Is it AI? Come join us and find out.
Welcome to ClickAI Radio, where you'll learn the secrets to transforming your small to medium business. Grant has been helping businesses transform using technology for over 30 years. Advanced technologies like artificial intelligence have been available only to large companies and advanced technical teams. Grant will discuss how you can use to leverage AI and other technologies to grow your small to medium business. As a gift, Grant is offering his ebook, AI for Sales Growth, at clickairadio.com. Now, here's your host and biz tech geek, Grant Larson.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of ClickAI Radio. So, Mr. Musk, how do you do it? Calling out Mr. Musk. All right, so of course I'm sure all seen the video where it talks about how he manages his time. He manages his time apparently using timeboxing. And on some of these reports that I've seen, he says he spends 80% of his time doing engineering design work. That's pretty amazing. And that some have said that he manages time down to 5-minute slots. Holy chicken soup. That's pretty tight. So what it means is that he plans out his whole day on 5-minute increments. That's quite the level of planning. I don't know for sure if that's what he does, but time boxing. So apparently what you do with time boxing is you plan it out, you put it on a whiteboard or a note paper or whatever, and then of course you fill out the time that you think it's going to take to get that done. All right. Now, of course, there's some fallacies and problems with this, right? One of those is, as humans, we seem to overestimate, we're overly optimistic, I should say, in terms of how long things will take. We think it might take 10 minutes to do something. In reality, maybe it's 20 minutes, right? And of course, there have been studies that talk about people tend to choose the best case scenarios, right? When we're allocating our estimates for time. This, of course, makes time boxing really difficult, which would look like if you had a piece of paper, a series of time slots at some increment. Apparently 5 minutes for Mr. Musk. I would do more like 15 minutes, but hey, who knows? In any event, so when you come up with those, one of the challenges is, how can I improve my accuracy for that? Turns out there's some tools out there today to sort of help you do this. Toggle, Toggl, is one of those tools to help you track your time and see how things are going. This can, of course, be painful to do. I listened to one guy, he has a technique where he asks you to go through and describe everything you did for two weeks. So every day you write down on a piece of paper for 2 weeks what you did. And then at the end, he calls it a time study, at the end of the 2 weeks, and you really kind of have a sense of where you're spending your time. And I've talked to multiple people that have done this, and they all complain about it, saying what a total pain, and yet how revelatory and insightful it is when you start to see some of the areas that they're spending their time that actually was lost to them, right? Lost to productivity and things that are meaningful and useful. Of course, one of the big objections to time boxing, which says I'm going to plan out my day on some sort of increment, and for each increment, here's a box of what I'm doing. One of the objections is around interruptions, right? So let's say you had planned out your entire day for that. Now, how do you deal with the interruptions? I know some people, to deal with that, they'll create 2 columns. They'll have one column that says, here's my original plan, and then they'll have another column which is the revised plan, right? Which, well, here's really what happened, right? Thought I was going to be doing this activity or this task. Turns out I did something else because I was interrupted. I think it was Dwight Eisenhower that said, planning's everything, but plans are nothing. Well, so of course the bottom line is we need to be able to pivot in order to adapt and adjust, certainly. And of course, we need to avoid overscheduling too, because some also have said that the more you try to do, the less you will accomplish. I think there's something to that. If I context switch too much, man, on a 5-minute increment, wow, Mr. Musk, if that's true, hats off to you. 5-minute increments, that's pretty tough to context switch constantly like that. I think that might be some overscheduling. Who knows? Well, that's why he's where he is, I suppose. Others have said that the way in which they plan, they'll organize it based on the intent for their business. So they'll plan tasks and activities in the morning that have to do with money generation and revenue generation activities. When they're the most fresh, those are the areas they want to put most of their intellectual capacity to. And so they'll do those types of time-boxed activities in the morning. And then in the afternoon, it's more cost management, expenses, things on the cost side of the balance sheet. That's an interesting technique. I started to look into AI for time management. You've probably seen there's this app out there called Timely. I think it's from a company called Memory AI. Anyway, you can download, I think the way it works is you download it onto your Mac or your Windows computer, and you start connecting it to your Google Calendar or other calendars, and over time, you start training the AI to start recognizing how you're spending your time, and you ultimately are teaching the AI model something about your work schedule and the way your time's being spent. Now, why would I even talk about time management? What does that have to do? Well, one of the things I've noticed is that given the increased demand, of course, on SMB owners, finding ways, obviously, to optimize our schedules is certainly important. But the real reason is many view activities to transform their business as too much of a stretch, right? Because we're so busy running around just keeping the lights on as a small to medium business owner. Who can think about adding more activities to our day? So, things like, hey, maybe I could improve my decision making by looking at more analytics, right? Or, hey, I could spend some extra time making changes to my business processes through AI insights. Yeah, it sounds interesting, but also sounds like, hey, you're being told to take your vitamins, and who wants to do that, right? That's not too exciting. So what you really need to do, my experience with this has been, is we need to find what's the real business cause or the motivation to do something like that, right? So sometimes it might be competitive pressure, or it might be a business model threat, right? Or it might be growth goals or even cost pressures. Now, when something like one of those is understood first, then finding the time by doing some kind of time analysis helps us to free up the cycles to address this. So I kind of have to find the why, right? Why is it that I would do this? What is it that's pushing me, right? And lots of times as humans, we'll move away from pain faster than we'll move towards a goal. So if you can find where's my pain point in my business, what is it that would drive me and give me the motivation to make this kind of adjustment, then I can start finding the business context where I'll start making the changes then to leverage new techniques such as putting AI into your business. I was talking with a large retail organization not too long ago. They said that before the COVID-19 pandemic, they had discussed providing curbside service, right? But at the time, the estimates in the organization, they said it would take about 2 years to roll that out. And then when the pandemic hit, they were able to roll it out in 4 weeks, right? So suddenly, obviously, there's this pain, right? There's this pressure. We have to do business differently. The context has shifted. So finding the motivation then allowed them to find the time, and then suddenly a lot of the red tape and other things move out of the way. So find your motivation for change as a business owner, right? Then find the time to pursue the change. Those are the precursors for most organizations to pursue an AI strategy. Now, many times, of course, like I said, we move away from pain more quickly. So where does your business hurt? And then let's get AI on the job. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. And until next time, find your motivating factors to set aside the time to apply AI in your business.
Thank you for joining Grant on ClickAI Radio. Don't forget to subscribe and leave feedback. And remember to download your free ebook. Visit clickairadio.com now.